Namaste and welcome, viewers. You're watching Business World. I'm Bhupendra Paintola. With me, we have with us today uh, Chushul Suri, founder and CEO, Medbikri. His company provides services, B2B services to pharmacists in India, and we'll know more about his company in the conversation further. But first of all, let me welcome Mr. Suri. Welcome to Business World.
Yeah, thanks, Bhupender. Yeah, glad to be here.
Yes. So tell us about what service do you provide? How does your company works? Enlighten our viewers with that.
Sure. So see, we basically believe that, in India, where we, see that there's a shortage of doctors, rural areas, a shortage of hospitals, we believe that pharmacy, the role that, people think is that, just they give a medicine like a store. That is not the case. Pharmacies plays an upsides role in the community. They not just, just the medical world, they also give the care. For example, doctors give prescription, then tell them you have to take medicine these times. And in India, a lot of times what happens is people go to the pharmacy with a problem. Yeah, I have a headache, I have a backache. What should I do in that case? And in some cases, when it's a basic ailment, he just obliges, gives them a medicine. But in more like complex cases, he says, "Okay, you should, go to this particular doctor." And then, because the customer is so basically not in saying, he said, "Okay, tell me, which doctor you go to." So it's like a kind of proper care person because he's the only, you can say, person who's, basically available to them. His shop is nearby in India. Every where you have chemist shops, and from there he can, trust that okay, this person knows more than me, and if I talk to him, I can make a better medical decision for myself. Okay, so that's how we decided ki, okay, because let's supercharge the role of pharmacies in the community that they play. This already happens offline, but can we give technology to make it even better? Okay. So that is basically essentially the thesis we started with, and then we started to talking to these people, and they agreed that yes, this is how they behave, and they said okay, to ensure that you basically make more money, you do a better social service. We need to get some data. Basically, the data would be like okay, how many chronic patients do you have? How many patients with diabetes, other ailments? Which kind of medicine do you sell? So you get an idea, and they were like, "Hey, boss, we have essentially have no tracking at our store, right?" So because they have no tracking, they said, okay, we don't let's solve for that first. So they were like, "Hi, we have a problem called stockouts, and it's called prescription browns in the lingo." That means that whenever basically a customer comes, it's a very common sight. It's like, dude, I don't have this medicine right now. Why don't you come tomorrow and take it? And reason why that is medicine line has a lot of SKUs. And because basically he cannot keep all SKUs, he just keeps it, okay, these are the common ones, the Dolos, the Crocins, the cough syrup. These he keep because these this will keep sold. But something like a diabetes or a hypertension, a little complex, he ensures that I have a customer, then only I'll order it. I don't want to be stuck with the working capital at my shop. Okay. So that is why basically customers, have to go 10, 15 sort of medicine. Sometimes to go to another city. If you're in a smaller, basically tier 4 city or so, you have to go to another city to get a medicine, right? So we basically analyzed this and we saw this is essentially a data problem. So data problem is, for example, you have a customer audience around you, right? So essentially, if you can somehow predict that, basically how much sales you're getting on a monthly basis, and even if not predict in case of a chronic patient, when you already know that a chronic patient, if you have, some elderly person, you understand he takes medicine every 15, 30 days, like clockwork. Can you basically track that? Like for example, you just track a chronic patient. So then that case, what will happen is before 2 days, the person will just call him and say, "Okay, hey boss, your prescription will be ending in 2 days. Should I get you a refill?" So the customer who must be an old person, he'll be happy that somebody is remembering my prescription. This ensures that he also gets the same. So when we went live with the first feature, this was the first feature that for the chronic patient, you can set a reminder, and the app will remind the pharmacist, and then who can then talk to the customer. So it doesn't lose out on the same. So that is because we were doing this. We already they said okay, this is okay, but I already have my billing pen paper system. So then we have to build basically billing, inventory, GST services, etc. That is what we keep doing. We have kept the application free because our aim was essentially to help them and get a sense of the data because we understand that we don't need to make money here. We can basically make money on a data stage. So what essentially, as I told you, the plan essentially here is that you give the application free, customers stockouts are sorted. Now because they have more customer data, they can sell the medical services. So for example, what are those? For example, you're in a city in let's say Lucknow or Barabanki. Barabanki is basically a small town, 20 kilometers from Lucknow. Okay, you don't have all the specialist doctor available there. Okay, but you have a pharmacist. So what we'll do is we basically tie up with doctors in Medbikri. It's called an Medbikri e-clinic service. We'll tie up with doctors. So you can go to a pharmacist and on that teleconsultation, he'll connect you to any doctor you want, be it
Okay.
from Apollo, be it from anywhere. You don't have to travel distances. You don't have to wait in lines. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how basically it started. So this is the first level, is the core product, which solves the billings. And we've also come into GST filing now. So basically, right now they have to pay the CS 500, but now because we have streamlined all the data, we do it for 250 because we use automation and all the APIs given by the government. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
basic services. But main what we tell them is, boss, you're selling medicines today. Why don't you sell other medicine services? So medical services are doctor consultations, tests. So for example, a doctor writes a medicine. Let's say you patient says that I have this problem. So just saying
Mm-hmm.
you go to this doctor, you say you get a consultation done here itself. I will get to a doctor over my video call right here, right now, 5 minutes. So we get you any doctor within 10 minutes. So you don't have to wait. Any doctor you want, nephrology, cardiology, sexology, diabetes, 10 minutes, or any doctor will be available right there on a virtual video call. Okay. So now let's say if a doctor writes a prescription, you know what's in this prescription, right? So either it's a medicine, the pharmacy can give them right here. Let's say he writes a test, okay, that diagnostic blood test shows up. So the customer doesn't need to go anywhere. He can just book the test at pharmacy, and Medbikri will get the home sample pickup done. So person will
Okay.
basically get a sample pickup done from his home. He'll collect the sample, and the test report will come after 1 day. So
Okay.
pharmacy is
So
getting all the services right here.
okay. So apart from making ease of doing business for pharmacies, you also help them, the customers with or the patients with doctors. And apart from that, you said that even with respect to diagnostics,
Yes,
you can
diagnostic and
collect
surgery
this
is all three. Yes, yes,
samples. All right.
correct. And the pharmacy gets paid offer all these services as well. So pharmacies, because he's getting the customer,
Okay.
so he gets
Okay.
a percentage of this. So he actually earns more money now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that can also solve the problem of prescription abuse in a way, because especially in tier 1, tier 2 cities and rural India, we see that the people look forward to pharmacies for getting drugs and all at times, because lack of the awareness of the pharmacists, it can happen as a result. But if I would like to ask you that why did you choose am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. You're audible. Yes.
So why did you chose to go to like the teleconsultancy part that you have said? Uh,
Mm.
why did you go choose to go through via pharmacy to the doctors and that not directly to the doctors? Why
Sure,
did
sure,
you?
sure.
Yeah.
So the thing is that basically, so before me, there will be a lot of startups that have tried that, and all got the similar problem that you cannot identify the person when he's ill. Okay, so for
Mm,
example, if I have diabetes, basically, let's say if I have a problem, the behavior of a person, 90%, 5% people go to Google and Google it,
mm,
which is
mm,
what basically Practos and pharmacies and all that capture. 90% people, whenever they have an illness, they either go directly to a doctor or go to a pharmacy and
mm,
then capture it. That is the
uh,
customer market behavior.
mm,
So our idea was because 90% goes to a pharmacy, and
mm,
from that, if you can convert a few percentage, that builds good for business pharmacy, and pharmacies are very happy because now they're not a pharmacy, they're an e-clinic.
mm,
They have
हाँ,
more services.
हाँ,
करके तो their stage in the society increases. They basically do a better social service. So right now there's a help in medicines. Now they can even get you a better doctor. And just to give you answer as well, our doctor consultations start at rupees 150,
all
which is
right.
the low one of the lowest prices, and it's
Mm,
an MBBS doctor, proper
mm,
physician.
mm, mm,
So that's why 150 is a price you will not get anywhere in India.
mm,
Even in tier 2, tier 3, they will start at 200, 300, for some 500.
mm, mm,
We provided 150 because we wanted to keep it affordable for basically our patients. And this is not a burning thing. The thing is, because we don't have to pay Google and Facebook
mm,
to get a customer, we keep it prices this cheap. We just pay the
mm.
pharmacy some money, and the rest goes to the doctor, and some goes to us.
All right. So somehow, in a way, we can say that because it's a stationary shop, it will remain there. The people will have more trust in the pharmacy than directly going for an
And
online
directly
or
online and directly Medbikri. They say
uh,
who's Medbikri. So they
yeah,
will have to trust the pharmacy. The pharmacy is there, and tomorrow if
yeah.
something goes wrong, he can
You
go and
can,
catch the
yeah,
pharmacy per se.
yeah, yeah.
And it's in the same community. Even the pharmacy's father, his grandparents, because they are still
Yeah,
same
yeah.
community.
Uh,
It's about a trust essentially, because healthcare is something in which unless you have trust, you won't
uh,
really switch for medical service. Yes.
true. What challenges did you face initially while coming up with this?
So the thing is basically for initial, like the first challenge was that the data part of it that we had to build. So we want to start with the e-clinic part, but we started with solving the basically inventory management, GST, billing, CRM, etc. to get there. So that was the first challenge. We have to get the data. Next challenge essentially is that when we got this, the customers were very happy. But they were like, okay, I know that getting a doctor consultation done, I understand, but who are the doctors basically like that? So basically, initially we did not show a doctor panel, but now I think that we solved that by showing we have big doctors, so famous doctors, experienced doctors, and we show our doctor panel very well because we believe we have a very good panel that we got, and so we showed them so that gives trust to the customer.
Mm,
वो करके. So I think that was the second challenge that we have solved. Now it's all about getting basically more pharmacies. Say for example, some pharmacies say कि sir I get patients but I don't get anything because they don't used to selling
mm,
services. So
mm,
and we also tell them कि ठीक है, you don't have to sell them. If the patient is coming yourself, you just educate
mm,
them. Hey, you're getting this and some other hospital. If you talk
mm.
to Medbikri, Medbikri get the same thing done at a cheaper price. We can guarantee that. That
Okay.
is how basically go ahead of it because doctor consultations are cheaper. And one of the things that is also important for us is that in generally what happens, I think it is
Mm.
if you read newspapers, doctors are incentivized by these pharma companies. So they
Yes.
generally write a single brand and all that. In our case, because it's a teleconsultation model, doctor sits some other city. So doctor is not incentivized to write any brand. He just writes the salt, and basically we give the medicine which the pharmacist believes is the best option there. Essentially,
Okay.
so basically, and
So
other
that
part
the
is we do not
nexus between the pharmacies and the doctor, that is also in a way broken by this, and
exactly
the people
pharma
can go for
companies.
generic drugs which are cheaper than the branded ones.
Exactly. So we in all our prescriptions we write the medicine name and we write the salt. So if
Okay.
somebody wants to go for, so even I think if you read the news, the government wants this to be done. We're already
Mm-hmm.
following that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the
Yeah.
salt, if you want to buy the
Mm-hmm.
salt, up to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is because we want to be transparent in our dealings. And other also is basically in the like if you look at I think it's basically kind of well known that the doctors also incentivized by the basically the diagnostic companies to write tests even when they're not needed. We do
Mm-hmm.
incentivize that as well. So we are always incentivizing doctor. You should basically just look at patients and give them the best care possible. If they need a diagnostic, if they need a surgery, it's okay. You write them. But if you don't need it, don't unnecessarily do it.
Okay. Let me look it from the apprehension part of view. Like, if there is a pharmacy, and
Mm.
it can be a case that the infrastructure isn't apt. Somewhere they are lacking the right ambience, or maybe the AC facility is not there, your cold storage is not there. In scenarios as such, there can be deterioration for the drugs, or the drugs can go contaminated. It can be, or lack of hygiene can also be a part of this. Don't you think in that scenario a burden will come in your name also, that this has led to this thing, or you were managing it, there were some lackings, why didn't you identify? Yeah.
Yes. So the thing is that because for the e-clinic, so application is different. There is no problem there. But in the e-clinic part, we basically have a very strict quality review of our pharmacies. So for example, because we already have a relationship with them, we ask them send photos, give them offers and all that. So we keep a strict thing. So for example, a pharmacy doesn't have a seating inside. We do not onboard these pharmacies for now. So if it doesn't have a fridge, we do not onboard. If it's dirty hygiene, then we
Mm,
definitely don't. We just not just one time check. We keep
mm,
check them in regular intervals because we also care about the quality that the patients are getting, and then we
mm,
also ask the patient for a feedback after every consultation. So in fact, one of the things that we do is that if after doctor consultation, when she writes a prescription, if you're
mm,
not cured after 7 days, we do the follow-up consultation for free.
mm,
We are like you should be.
mm,
So they obviously they. So I'm saying it's not going to be impossible, but we
mm.
do everything that we do random checks and we do customer feedbacks to ensure that doesn't happen. If it happens, we basically delist the pharmacy and go after somebody else who's going to be better.
Hmm. All right. Lately we have been seeing regulatory issues. The e-pharmacies, they have been, stopped for a certain period of time by the CDSCO. Do you see a regulatory problem with respect to pharmaceutical industry or pharmacies in India? Because they are overlapping. It can be state regulatory body, CDSCO, or there are also NPPA and all. Do you see a problem there?
So basically, in terms of the e-pharmacy angle, I don't see a problem there. in terms of the telemedicine, I think that during COVID, there was some problem in telemedicine, but now the government has changed the rules. So that is also fine. The only problem that I see that may potentially come, and we're already prepared for this, is that the government has asked the pharmacists to basically keep a note of every prescription should have a salt as well, which we were talking, which has
Mm,
been in the talks but hasn't been implemented yet. We're
mm,
already ready for that. B, the government has also said, whenever you sell a prescription, you have to maintain a list of doctor prescriptions with yourself. And the pharmacies, always say that, we don't have software through there, but you can do that in Medbikri. You just have to click a
mm,
photograph, and for every sale you do, you can save a prescription. If somebody comes, you can show you a list. Okay, these are the list of prescriptions and
mm,
customers. So that is there. So I believe that, basically, in the pharmacy, they're going in that direction. So
mm,
that will lead to some more burden on the pharmacy. But on the
mm,
product side, we are already basically have taken that in cognizance. So, for example, if let's say you have customer, you want to, if you get a raid on a shop, and then for
mm.
somebody wants to see if you have a prescription for high level drug, H1 drugs, scheduled H1 drugs as they're called. So we already have app tags on the app. You already sometimes tell the pharmacy this is a scheduled H1 drug. You need a prescription for this. So please ensure that if you sell it, you upload a prescription like that. So we have kept those checks and balances. I believe there will be something, but it's more about the compliance, because right now that if you look at the answers, they say we don't have the software or wherewithal to do it. But we believe
Mm.
that we're already solving that. It takes like literally 10, 20 seconds to do that. So these type of compliances, I also honestly believe are also good, because, then the bad actors who give very, basically high salt medicines without any prescription, that should not be done in general, basically. And if it's a case where the doctor should be seen, the doctor should be seen. So
Mm.
I think that is all good. That will lead to some backlash, definitely, I believe. But I think in terms of for Medbikri or somebody who's helping the pharmacist, I think that is not going to be a problem. We're already basically covering up for that if that happens.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
so far, how many pharmacies are you providing service to, and how do you look forward towards the
Hmm.
scalability part? How will you
Yeah,
expand it?
so basically, in terms of the pharmacies that are using our application, we are pan India. So we have basically around more than basically 50,000 signups, and on a monthly level, about tens of thousands of shops are using our application. On the e-clinic part, we are right now in Lucknow. So basically, launched this month only. We launched 15 e-clinics in Lucknow and Barabanki area. And basically, these are the first shop that because we want to keep care of the quality and all the points that you
Mm,
mentioned, right? That the
mm,
quality is good, the care is good, and all that. And the one thing is also that, one is the customer demand is that test, and that is okay. But customers also asking for surgeries. So what has
okay.
happened is that, for example, if let's say if some patients, they say doctor has asked me to do a surgery, and in case of surgery, you don't know which hospital to trust. So what Medbakeri has also done is the help there as well. We have a tie-up with doctors, and we have negotiated the prices
Mm,
basically. The same hospital, if you go, you'll get a price. We can give you a better price there because we essentially deal with them in bulk. And we'll also, because as I said, we have no connection. We don't, let's say that you have to get it done surgery. We give you a second opinion. If you need a surgery, if you need it, if you don't need it, just take a medicine like that. And we give you options. For example, if you, let's say, if you have insurance and if you want the best possible care, you can go to Apollo and this will charge you this much. But if you're a little price sensitive, we'll give you the best doctor, but the facility will be in the outskirts basically, so that we
okay.
could save on rent and etc. And then you can get it done
Mm,
and cheaper. So we give
mm,
these options that patient is aware what my options are. So for example, if I want an AC in my room, obviously that will cost you more, but yeah, that will not impact the quality of the basically
mm,
surgery and like that. So because that we are developing in Lucknow region, and then we have a lot of interest from other players as well. For example, a lot of players in the, I will not name them right now, but in the
mm,
IVF space, fertility space, etc. They basically want to drive footfall to their hospitals. So what they
mm,
say is that the pharmacy can refer us. We'll come down. We'll
mm.
basically talk to your patients, and we can convert them. That can also happen. So we can drive foot from there. It helps because we have a lot of pharmacies in the tier two, tier three, and
Mm,
smaller
mm,
regions, which basically are generally, I can say, they're not given the quality of care that somebody
mm,
in tier one
mm,
are given. So like
mm.
that. So that is why it's a little in move. But that said, the plan in the next 6 months is to get at least 1,000 to 2,000 e-clinics all across Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar, Delhi, in these regions in the next 3 4 months, and from there we'll then
And
also start
what's
expanding.
the number right now?
Right now, we have launched 15 e-clinics basically this month only. And beloved, it's like as I told, we have tens of thousands of pharmacies who are using the other application. E-clinics,
Mm,
we are a little student. So we have a lot of demand. So
mm,
people want to open an e-clinic. We are not basically
mm,
letting
mm.
them open. right now because we want to share. We can get a good level of service before we allow thousands of people to join the.
Hmm. So what basically distinguishes you from the other app health app service providers? Any feedback that you have seen lately that has maybe inspired you or has given you a different view, positive feedback?
In our case, basically, one of the things that we are cognizant of that if you look at all the pharmacy players that are doing, they basically are solving for medicine pricing. While that is a very, very good problem to solve, the thing is that they are treating medicine like a, you can say, kirana shop. The thing is,
Mm,
nobody goes and say, today I am in the mood of eat to dolo, let's go there. Okay, no, that doesn't happen. You
mm,
need it because you have a problem. And when you're a medicine, you have a problem, you need other services as well, basically. So this whole medical thing has to be looked into. So, for example, if you look at, if like I think there's a saying in startups that all the fintechs, wherever they started, everybody wants to become a bank. Similarly,
mm,
if you look at all the big health techs, everywhere they started is some sort of medicine. Everybody wants to become a hospital. They provide all services because that is
mm,
the model that is scaled. Because if you get patient, they will be needing one of these
mm,
services: a
mm,
consultation, specialist consultation, diagnostic tests, MRI scans, surgeries, procedure like that,
mm,
etc. So you cannot basically just basically I'll only give you this service because if you're getting footfall, they will be needing those. So
mm,
like for example, we had planned surgeries when we started the clinic. We were already doing tests and more, but customers came to us and said we need surgeries. And basically, now what can you do like that? So what makes a difference is that we believe that pharmacy is a very good part in the overall healthcare ecosystem, not just giving medicines. It's not the role. So that is what distinguishes us. And other is that we basically have a very offline collect model. So others basically rely mostly to get customers on from Google, Facebook, and all that. We basically believe that that is a good way to get a good personal customers. A lot of customers will not trust a machine or an application or that. They will need some people to talk to. And
mm,
that people right now, I was doing a pharmacist, can you influence some people? And
mm,
then they're converted because in that is how sales like even though we have but even if you look at online sales like Flipkart and Amazon done very well, but on the
mm,
overall scale 5% of all goods in India or less than that, right? Everything sells through offline relationships and all that. And the reason is also clear because you know a person who are buying from. If something
mm,
goes wrong, you can go to him. There's a personal community. The advantages are obviously there. So that is in terms of one of the feedbacks that we've gotten. I think we basically honestly all of the applications that we have built. See, my mom is a doctor,
mm,
but we are not. We haven't hired pharmacists. All the features given are based on the customer feedback. We give the application to the customer. He said these are solving a stock out problem. He said this is very good, but if you give me this will become even better. And then we see that okay, hundreds of pharmacists are saying the same thing. We build it off like that. So that is how we
mm.
built the complete
So,
application. Now,
so
if
is there a feedback mechanism in that application only, or?
yes, yes, yes. It's in the application as well. It's in our customer support as well. And in some cases, we have agents in some cities who go and that is also feedback mechanism. So we are very, very open to feedback. So that's why we tell that if you give us feedback on the app, on a WhatsApp or call support or to the agent, and
Mm,
if it's a lot of pharmacies do it, we'll ship the feature. We ship 2-3 features every month,
mm,
essentially here. So basically, because we are very fast at shipping and we want to give value to the customer,
mm,
that is also. Clinic is also very scaled up very rapidly because
mm,
just we are basically a very new company if you look at us, but
mm,
we're already doing surgeries, consultations, and tests in decent numbers. That is because we understand as we solve the customer problem.
mm,
वो है. Other thing, I think the only, I think that would be about it because, as I said, everything is well. We don't really look at competition per se. We are more, into our own thing, honestly, because we believe that the path we have taken, we don't really have a like-to-like comparison
mm,
for that. We do get inspired by a lot of companies in what they do, but we do believe that we are on our own path, and as long as we keep focusing, we'll build a very good company which provides value to tier two, tier three patients, pharmacies, and eventually business also has to
mm.
make money.
So what is your founding story, if you can tell us, and also let us know how do you market your app? Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
sure, sure, sure. Founding story basically. So see, I am the employee. So if you heard of a small startup called Misho, so I was employee number 4 at Misho in the core team,
Okay.
and I joined Misho in 2016. And in Misho, I basically did a lot of tier two, tier three. So if you look at Misho, they have done a lot of work in tier two, tier three, getting customers who are using the internet for the first time. So I was joined initially as in the growth role and then moved to product role. So there I basically studied a lot of it. And after Misho, it was always like, okay, I've seen a journey from the very beginning. So when I was there, were just two founders and two, three people. That's it, right? And now they've grown to so big. So I spent 3, 4 years there, and I was like, yeah, basically now I want to do my own thing.
Mm.
And then basically I started finding what should I do. And then my mom was a doctor, so pharmacies were there, tier two, tier three. So I started then talking to pharmacies, and that is when basically I find out, okay, this seems like a big problem. So as I said, everything starts from the space I know. My mom was a doctor, so I know this pharmacy. And then I started talking to pharmacy, and so then I talked to I think 300, 350 pharmacies, and everybody told me the same problem was dropouts.
Okay.
Basically, then I thought,
How long were you in Misho?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
Yeah, then I joined Great Learning for a year and a half.
Okay.
And that got acquired in Byju's, and now then I started this. Yeah. So
All
my
right.
current co-founder, Mahesh, is from Great Learning as well. So basically,
Okay.
after I left, I then said, okay, ठीक है, I want to do this. Then I pitched a few of my batchmates, my friends
वहीं
from
पे
Misho.
जुगलबंदी हुई basically. हाँ.
Bande, I'm like, यार देखो, tech तो I cannot make tech, right? So I
हाँ.
need somebody to support me also. So eventually I budded up with Mahesh, and we said, let's do this together. So that is, and then we okay, basically we step. So as I said, the first feature that we went live with was the refill reminder. That was it. So app meant no bills, no nothing, just a
Mm.
app reminder when a chronic patient has a due medicine, and you can call him. And that is even today the most loved feature on our application, even though we
Okay.
have built a lot of it. But yes, so that is it. So that is essentially the story that my mom was a doctor. I knew about the space. I wanted to do something in tier two, tier three, and I saw that basically health tech there have been decent work done, but most of it is limited to tier ones and all that. And tier two, tier three people have started, but they're not looking at it a complete picture. So I say that if I like I said, okay, hospital. If I want to open in a let's say tier two, tier three, the hospital has a very high capex opex. For an hospital running is not easy. So due to just a hospital, you need a lot of footfall, which is not possible in small town. So
Mm.
can I give like hospital-like services, but at
Mm.
the fraction of the cost? And that is how this pharmacy angle
Okay.
came in. That basically doctor can be sitting somewhere else. Test can be you don't need a lab. Test can be home sample. Instead of having a test lab inside, the lab can be somewhere in one city, and just sample pickups can be done. Surgeries can be managed in somewhere else. So this way, you're not getting any fixed cost or any variable cost, but we're giving the same quality of services at a cheaper price. So that is
Okay.
how we believe that we can solve this problem. So
And
that is
what advertisement channel have you used to let people
so
know
we
about
mostly
yourself?
use Facebook, and for this, Google that doesn't really work for us, but it's like Facebook work recently. When I say Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, both, and other we have the one which works is our feet on street team. So we have agents on the ground in UP, MP, Delhi, Bihar, Jharkhand, all across, and they basically mostly in the Hindi speaking belt, and they basically go pharmacy to pharmacy and then essentially get it done. So
Okay.
these are the two.
Okay. So if we have to look at your customers, which you are a B2B, so the pharmacies that you provide service to, what share will you give to the urban pharmacies and the rural pharmacies? What is the share there?
So basically, if you look at the like tier one, tier two, and basically rural, so basically rural right now we would have like around you can say 10 to 20%. Mostly would be urban, but if you look at tier one would be less than 5%. So we have Delhi, but in Delhi also we're not in areas like Connaught Place and all that, but we're in areas like Shahadra and like that. And we are in Lucknow, but we're not in the poshest area of Lucknow. We're in the outskirts. We're in Barabanki, like that. So we're not right now rural. We're basically also expanding to how we can go more and more rural. But we are right now in the smaller towns. So that is where our sweet spot is. Even smaller towns, we have decent footfall, but not access to big enough hospital services. So that
Mhm.
is here. We're trying to push to rural, but I think right now the focus is that how can we do, because even if you town like Meerut or somewhere, you do not have access to all the specialists out there, right? So
Mhm.
we're saying, yeah, we can solve for this, and then eventually, obviously, we'll keep on expanding.
Okay. Uh, any last message or any message that you'd like to give to our viewers right now?
Yeah, I think in terms of the message, I would then just say that if you're in a small town or so, and if you have like even if you're in a big town, if your parents in a small town, just go and talk to a nearby pharmacy, and you will understand. And even though basically you get the pharmacy and all that, you're getting discounts, they're very short term and all that, and these people actually care more and will give a better service. So if you want somebody, like for example, a lot of big problem is that nobody takes care of my parent, but if you go to talk to my pharmacy, big relationship with them, in order to give you a discount, even remind you yourself to get it done and all that. So that would be it because I think this is more sustainable. Like for a discount driven thing is going to work out for some time, but eventually you know what happens. that the discounts will go away, then you have nothing that you can do. So I think if you try to build a relationship with pharmacy, you can actually care for the parents there. That is, I think, one of the messages I would share to the customers, basically. I
Mm.
think to the pharmacies, do give Medbikri a try. I think this will definitely help you in a business in multiple ways. Even if you don't want to manage it end to end, if you with the software as well, it's a free application, then we don't charge anything. So you can give it a spin, and any feedback, my email is always open. So you can
Mm.
definitely reach out, and I read all my emails. So no worries there.
All right. All right. It was pleasure talking to you, Mr. Suri. Thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank you.
for giving us time. It was a pleasure talking to you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Nice. Same to Bhupendra. Best of luck as well.